It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 5 films of August 5th, 2005. The biggest new release of them being the biggest new film from the directors of Super Troopers and Club Dread, the guys behind Super Troopers and Club Dread, and it's a remake of one of the most popular TV shows from the 70s and 80s, but did not get the proper respect back in the day, but does it deserve it? We'll talk about that one a little bit, but also we have several smaller movies in general. We got Bill Murray in a new dramatic movie directed by Jim Jarmusch. We have a documentary about a guy who has 30 days to try to date Drew Barrymore. We have Amy Adams in her big breakout role, Junebug. And I said that Jesse Eisenberg was in this movie, but I guess I was wrong on that front. But it is still a notable movie to talk about. So we'll delve into that last one as we go along here. We got a lot of movies to get to here, so let's just get right to it. Let's start with that big new release of the weekend, and that is Johnny Knoxville, Sean William Scott, and Jessica Simpson in The Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, I've been kind of building this one up for the last couple of weeks, if you will, as the one really bad TV adaptation that went to the big screen in 2005. Like, The Honeymooners, I liked. I didn't think it was great, but I thought that I got what they were trying to do, and I thought it worked better than people expected it to. I really like Bewitched, another movie that got kind of the cold shoulder. This is the one I kept building up as the one that was really bad, and it is bad. Maybe not as bad as I made it out to be, but before I even get into this movie, there actually is a very funny story about what happened when I saw this movie for the first time. You guys out there who don't live in Western Pennsylvania probably don't know about this place called the Pittsburgh Mills. Well, back in 2005, nowadays you know the Pittsburgh Mills is kind of this abandoned mall that's still there. They haven't added anything new there. They just left it abandoned pretty much, and people go there to like do exercises, whatever things left. It's like it's weird, that whole section there. Like, all the other places are still open. Like, you have a Walmart there, you have a Sam's Club, you had a Best Buy there that used to be there, but they got rid of that a long time ago. You have an Aldi there, a lot of restaurants there, and yet the mall is still very much empty. Nobody has bothered to try to buy the place and rebrand it again. They just kind of left it abandoned, pretty much. It's kind of like the new Century 3 Mall, since that's no longer there anymore. But back in the day when that place was hot and new, they had a Cinemark theater there, and that was the theater that eventually we got here in Monroeville. But the point of the story I'm trying to get to here is that the one day that I went to go see this on opening day, and I went there to the theater there, even though we had a Carmack Cinema Theater down close to where I live. But the point is that I went to the movie. It was weird because it was around the time that I got my first cell phone. So I get out of the theater. I'm there with my mother and my sister. They're walking around the mall, and I have my phone, which, believe it or not, was a flip phone for some of you out there who don't remember the flip phones back in the day, because that was the phones pretty much everyone had. In fact, I don't even think mine was a flip phone, honestly. I mean, if I'm really being honest, I don't think I had the flip phone. I think I had a phone similar to this right here. I think I had a phone similar to this in general, but much smaller, like about half the size of this in general. But as I was saying, so when I was going to call my mother to tell her I was ready to go, I had I put a number in, waited for her to bring up, and then all of a sudden this message comes up and says, "Welcome to Verizon Wireless," and it's just like, well, that's weird. And it's just like, it just kept doing that every single time. Every single time I tried to call, and I gave her a specific time of when I might be done, but I waited there for a little bit, and then nobody came around, and I just had to figure out what to do because my phone kept getting that message. It's like, for some reason, my contacts weren't coming in here, so I couldn't call my sister, I couldn't call my mother, I couldn't call my father to call them. So what I ended up doing was I had to go all the way to the middle of the mall to the guest services, and had to say, "Hey, listen, my phone isn't working, and I don't know what to do because my mother and my sister are somewhere in the mall, and I really have no idea how to get in touch with them." So they actually did manage to call them up on the PA system, because I couldn't remember my phone number too. Keep in mind, this was back in the day when those cell phones the cell phones they had in 2005 didn't show you the numbers right away. didn't show the numbers, and like I couldn't get any reception in there to look for the phone numbers in there. So, like, bottom line, technology has definitely advanced today, but yeah, that was a fun little experience. I did eventually find her. She did make it back over to me, but that was just a weird situation for me to be in with my phone acting like that. Like, I didn't, like, and this was still like, I think this was actually my first phone I ever had. But as I said, times have changed. I now have a phone that can make videos like this. So yeah, what a way to remember this movie in general. But let's talk about the actual movie itself now. As in the TV series of the same name, the classic television series, you have the film depicting the adventures of cousins Bo, Luke, and Daisy, and Uncle Jesse as they outfox crooked Hazard County Commissioner Boss Hogg and Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane. Bo and Luke are played by Johnny Knoxville and Sean William Scott. Jessica Simpson plays Daisy. Willie Nelson is Uncle Jesse. You have Burt Reynolds as Boss Hogg. Joe Don Baker is in the movie, because why not? Linda Carter is in here as well. A lot of notable names in here. A lot of the guys from Broken Lizard, because this is a Broken Lizard film. This is directed by the guys who did Super Troopers and Club Dread, J. Chandra State Car. You see a lot of the people from those movies in this film. It's made by the same people in general. And at the time, I just thought it was okay. I mean, I was never really a Dukes of Hazzard fan anyway, but I didn't think the movie was that bad. But as time has gone on, I've slowly but surely started to realize that, yeah, they were kind of onto something here. Now, to the movie's credit, I thought the casting overall was pretty good. I mean, Johnny Knoxville and Sean William Scott, I think of, are the perfect people to play the Duke brothers in it. The Dukes in this. Not even brothers, but the Dukes in general. I think they were perfectly cast. Jessica Simpson, you know, her one job in this movie to be sexy, and you know that I thought she did okay here. She was actually one of the people that got it rough back in the day. Like, you know, Richard Roper, I think back when he did his review on Even a Roper, said that he said something like on the lines of, I swear English is like a second language to her, which, I mean, it's not like she's being asked to play a serious role in here. She's there to be the bombshell. She's there to be the sexy bombshell in this. And for what she had to do, it was tolerable. I mean, I couldn't think of a worse performance from anybody in general. I've seen Jessica Simpson in much worse movies than this. I thought she was just okay, but the material they gave her and pretty much everybody else is pretty bland in general. And I think that's really the biggest sticking point with the film, is that the script is not that great. It's all over the place. The comedy really isn't all that funny. There's only a couple little funny moments here and there that I do remember actually kind of admiring and liking. But, yeah, other than that, though, the film really is a mess of a film that just wastes a lot of good, talented people in there who I've seen be funny in other movies. I've seen most of these people in much better material. But here, it just really feels like a movie that was trying to copy the success of Starsky and Hutch, which Starsky and Hutch worked because you had top talent in terms of the casting and the writing as well, the writing and the direction as well, because you had a lot of really good people involved in it who made a fun satirical parody of the 70s TV show. This, it just feels like they were just trying to do the same thing, but with half the creativity. It's like when DC tried to create their own Marvel Cinematic Universe, but said, we're going to do it in half the time. We're not even going to wait to build these characters up. You're just going to see them coming one after another, and you're just going to accept it. And look what happened to the DCU now. That's pretty much what they did with this movie here. It's a movie that, you know, at times there are some bright flashes of promise to it, but other than that, though, it really does just fall apart at the seams at the worst possible times. The cast overall, I think, is perfectly set for the roles that they're in. They're just not really given a whole lot to do in terms of a good joke or a good story to really work around here with. It's just a bland story. It's just bland. There's nothing really to it. You know, there are jokes that are just dead on arrival that don't get any laughs whatsoever, and it just feels like you've wasted your time watching this movie. And yeah, the 16-year-old me liked it back in the day, but now that I'm 35 years old, 'cause it's 2024, I'll be 36 next year, so almost 20 years away from that. But now that I've seen it as a 35-year-old again, I could say, yeah, did not work indeed. So yeah, that's a hard skip on the Dukes of Hazzard, unfortunately. But the Broken Lizard guys will be back with Warner Brothers again the next year with Beer Fest, but that's for 2006. Meanwhile, So that's the biggest new release of all the movies that came out this weekend. Now let's get to the smaller titles, and there were a couple of good ones. Starting with the first one we have here, which I think is a criminally underrated Bill Murray drama. This is Broken Flowers. Why couldn't somebody just give Bill Murray that Oscar for Lost in Translation? Because, man, he's a great actor, man. Like, he's not only a very great comedic actor, but movies like this prove that he's got drama locked down, and it's just a shame that nobody has given him the proper respect he deserves at the Academy Awards. But in this movie, you have him playing a aging Don Juan who embarks on a cross-country journey to track down four of his former lovers after receiving an anonymous letter stating that he has a son. So kind of imagine a mix of Dumb and Dumber 2 and Father Figures, except if they weren't just slapstick comedies and much more serious and actually good. As you see in the credit in that trailer there, you see Jeffrey Wright, Sharon Stone, Francis Conroy, Jessica Lange, Tilda Swinton, Julie Delpy. You have Alexis Dezena and Chloe Sevigny among the cast, as well as Christopher McDonald. Directed by Jim Jarmusch, and this is probably one of my favorite Jim Jarmusch movies. And I'm not really much of a Jim Jarmusch person. I like some of his movies he's made. Like I did like the last movie did Coffee and Cigarettes, but this is probably my overall favorite movie of his. It's a really good movie that showcases true power from what Bill Murray can do as a dramatic actor. Like, he's got dramatic chops locked down in this, and I think working with Jim Jarmusch's style of filmmaking really helps the film out in the long run. It's a really good movie that definitely deserves a lot more attention. I feel like if they had released this closer to Oscar time, this would have been a movie that would have been easily nominated for a Best Actor Oscar for him in general. But somebody give Bill Murray an Oscar one day, because when he does dramatic work, more than not, it's usually really, really good. And this is definitely one of those exceptions where it is really, really good and definitely deserving of an Oscar-worthy performance, because he's really given it his all in this film. Like, I can't recommend this movie enough. If you haven't seen Broken Flowers, do so. It's definitely one you have to see, even if just because you're a Bill Murray fan. If you haven't seen it, definitely see this movie, and you see the range that Bill Murray has as an actor as a whole. Fantastic film. Can't recommend it enough. So, with that said, moving on to the next movie, and that is the documentary My Date with Drew. So this is really what it takes to make a movie that gets released by a major studio, huh? Yeah, let's, I stopped it right there because, I mean, really, you could pretty much see all the problems with the movie going forward, but here's the storyline. Since he first saw E.T. as a boy, Herzinger has had a crush on its star Drew Barrymore. Now, more than 20 years later, Herzinger combines his passion for filmmaking and Drew Barrymore to document his quest on a date with an actress. With $1,100 he won on a game show, with the winning answer being Drew Barrymore, and a digital video camera, he has 30 days to complete his documentary before he has to return the camera under Circuit City's 30-day return policy. How the hell did this movie even get made? Because, man, like, this movie is just so all over the place and just so it's just, I mean, the movie doesn't work simply because it's like a bad reality movie. It's like we're going back to, stuff like The Real Cancun or From Justin to Kelly, where you have this guy that's doing this because it's basically, what this basically is, you would see reality TV shows like this on television. Like, Fox would have killed to have a show like this where, one guy tries everything in his power to get a date with Drew Barrymore, and then it never really happens. Because if I remember this correctly, he does not get this date with Drew Barrymore, so the whole movie essentially becomes really, really pointless in the end. And the reason why he's doing this is because he's 27 years old, no job, no girlfriend, no money. Although he did win $1,100 on a game show. Like, if that's really all it takes for a movie like this to get made, Hollywood, give me a movie like this. Let me do a movie similar to this for somebody like Jennifer Lawrence, because, I could probably make a much more interesting movie on that same level. But I have a job. It pays the bills. It gets me through life and all. But I could have a better movie than this guy does. This is a film that just feels so bland, so just like the ultimate entitlement movie. Like, help me get a date with this person. Like, this is I mean, I don't get it, man. I don't know under anybody that thought this movie was going to be any good per se. Say, this just feels like a film that would have been straight in that same area as The Real Cancun and From Justin to Kelly, and it's just such a bland movie in general because there's nothing interesting about this guy whatsoever. This guy that's trying to get this date, and it just feels like it just feels like a mess of a movie. Like it feels like a film that just really had no intentions on ever trying to be anything except for this guy's fantasy movie for people like him, because it's like, you know, follow your dreams and maybe you can be in this guy's footstep where you almost get a date with this famous actress. It'll probably never happen, but hey, thanks for your money. I mean, I don't know. Like, I did not like this movie one bit, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, it just feels like a movie that's just like, if the guy had some like likability to him, then maybe I could probably let it go. But here, there's just nothing there, man. It's just a bland movie. There's nothing about it that's really enjoyable, and it just has a wimpy character to be the centerpiece of it. I mean, I believe more in Borat trying to go and date Pamela Anderson than I do this guy trying to get Drew Barrymore. That's how crazy this whole idea is in general. So, yeah, a hard pass on my date with Drew is what I'm trying to say. So let's get back to some good stuff. How about a breakout role for Amy Adams? This is Junebug. Amy Adams really isn't the center star of the movie, but she does have a significantly prominent role that we'll get to here in a little bit. But you have Alessandro Nivola playing successful Carolinian George Johnston, who meets Chicago art gallery owner Madeline, played by Emmett Davids, at an electoral benefit art auction, Love at First Sight. Madeline decides to meet a Southern original artist, so George seizes the opportunity to come along and present her to his North Carolina parents, Eugene and Peg. Dropout brother Johnny and high pregnant wife Ashley, played by Amy Adams, confronting the outsiders soon opens a can of worms as emotions revive or emerge like admiration and jealousy. Everybody in the movie is playing their parts very well. You have a cast that includes, like I said, Alessandro Nivola, Emmett Davids, Ben McKenzie from the OC, you have Celia Weston, Scott Wilson, Jill Wagner, but the real star that breaks out of this movie is that supporting performance by Amy Adams, who's just, you know, this is a big year for her because she had the wedding date to begin the year, and then she showed up in the last episode of the first season of The Office, where she had a little bit of an arc going into season 2, where she ended up dating, her character ended up dating Jim's character, Jim, John Krasinski's character from the show. But it's a really good movie, and it really works because of all the performances. But Amy Adams is the one thing that you really take away from the film in general. Like, she really is the strongest element of the movie. She really is a character that you will remember once you see her in the film, because it's a great performance by her. And it just makes you sad to see that she's never won an Academy Award for the many times she's been nominated. And even movies that she should have been nominated for, like Sunshine Cleaning is a great, underrated movie of hers with her and Emily Blunt, which we'll get to when we get to 2009, but really, really great indie movie she was in. And this is definitely one that I do recommend checking out. If you love Amy Adams, you're going to love her in this movie. The movie itself is really entertaining. What more can I say? Junebug is a good film. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie we have here, and that is The Chum Scrubber. So in The Chum Scrubber, you have the focus of the chain of events that follow the suicide of a teenage drug dealer in an idealistic but superficial town. Some of the themes addressed in the film are the lack of communication between teenagers and their parents and their inauthenticity of suburbia, and the titular Chum Scrubber is a character in a fictional video game that represents the town and its inhabitants. You see Jamie Bell, Camilla Bell, no relation, Justin Chatwin, who would later go on to star in such great movies as The Invisible and Dragon Ball Evolution, because why not? Bill Fichtner, Allison Janney, Ray Fiennes, Glenn Close. A movie that I do remember, and I did remember it as a movie that that came out around the time, and did leave a legacy with a lot of people, although the reviews for it are not really that well known. I mean, the film got mostly mixed to negative reviews and didn't make much of its budget back. I mean, it cost $10 million and it only brought in about $350,000 in general. So it did not make a ton of money to be memorable in general. But I never really got around to see this movie until most recently, and I don't know. I thought it was all right. I think the acting overall is what carries the film over. it does get a little bit too pretentious for its own good, which what they're trying to accomplish here. But the performances I do think stick out the most. Jamie Bell is in this movie. He plays a great character in this. He'll later be seen in King Kong that year. He would later go on to become Tintin 2 in the Adventures of Tintin movie. Everybody in here is playing their part very well in general. The story, like I said, it gets a little bit too pretentious for its own good. It does get kind of bland overall, but overall, the film itself, from what I remember from it, it wasn't that bad of a movie in general. Just one that, for a one-time watch, I thought it was fine, but honestly, I've never really had any true intentions of going back and watching this again. So, yeah, not much more I can say about that one, but decent film, nothing too spectacular. The Chump Scrubber. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. And the next time we meet, we will take a look at the next week's movies, August 12th, with a couple of notable movies, including Mark Wahlberg and John Singleton's Four Brothers, Kate Hudson in the horror movie The Skeleton Key, the sequel that everyone thought was going to be the next Austin Powers, I shit you not, Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo. I'll explain that in just a little bit, on the next episode, not in a little bit, but... it's funny because on Box Office Mojo they call this movie The Aviator, even though The Aviator came out last year with Leonardo DiCaprio. But the movie in question is The Great Raid, which we'll get into that one as well. We also have Grizzly Man, directed by Werner Herzog, a documentary about a really bizarre, a really sick and twisted documentary, if you really look into it. But also we have Pretty Persuasion. So what do we at here? Anything else? Anything else? Let's see. 1, 2... 6 movies to look at next time out. So we'll have a lot more movies to cover as we get into the middle of August 2005. So definitely be on the lookout for that coming up on the next episode, which will be up tomorrow. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. Also, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification button. We are just under 10 people away from 4,000 subscribers. And I know I said that in the intro already, but I'm going to keep saying it until we hit it. And as soon as we hit 4,000 subscribers, I can take that intro out. And then I won't have to bother you guys again until I need to get to 5,000 subscribers. And, so if you want to help me in getting to that, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so you know when new videos come up. With all that said, I am off. I'm tired. I started yawning when I was in between takes here, so I think I'm going to go to bed after this. So until the next time I see you, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.